What's old can sometimes...
From the Spurs Net Center, I'm Chris Duel. This is Spurs React on 1200 WOAI's Facebook and Twitter pages. Spurs lose tonight to the Houston Rockets, 128-124. DeJounte Murray, a career-high 32 points. Let's listen to Bill Schoening and his post-game here.
Ultimate performance brought to you by BMW of San Antonio. For the Spurs, look no further than DeJounte Murray, who played 37 minutes tonight, 32 points, a career high, a triple-double for DJ, 11 assists and 10 rebounds. He also had 3 steals in this ballgame. Murray single-handedly tried to bring the Spurs back in the fourth quarter by scoring 19 points. The fourth, it just wasn't enough, as the Rockets had the hot hand throughout the entire
Hello,
ballgame,
Doris.
55% for the field in this win over the Spurs. All right, we promised you some individual
Lynn from Singapore. What is up, Lynn?
City, 31 points for Eric Gordon. He had a big
Roberto.
game. 9 of 10 for the field.
Welcome in.
6 of 7 beyond the arc and 7 of 10 for the free throw line.
Good to see you, Roberto. Welcome.
Eric Gordon. All 5 of their starters in double figures, by the way. A double-double.
Tough loss for the Spurs tonight.
Points and 11 rebounds. 18 points for Kevin Porter Jr.
Yeah, Joe, me
was
too,
6
man.
of 10 for the field, hit 3 threes. Jalen Green finishes with 14 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists. And Jayshawn Tate hit 6 of 6 shots from the field. He had 13 points and 7 rebounds.
What is up, Fonzie J. Rodriguez?
Kenyon Martin with 6, 9 points for DJ Augustine, the former Longhorn. Daniel Tice with 8, and Josh Christopher with 6. And we understand that Becky Hammond is now joining us from outside the Spurs locker room. And Coach Hammond, first of all, thanks for joining us. We appreciate that. Just your overall general thoughts on tonight's game.
We buried ourselves that first quarter. Giving up 39, that can't happen. I know they came out and hit like about 6 for 10 in that first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
But there were guys that, especially Eric Gordon, that we should have been paying special attention to. That was the scouting report. Don't let him shoot threes, and he gets off 3 clean ones, really. And then he ends up scoring 31 points. So, we just didn't come out of the gates with any kind of physicality. After that, I thought it was okay. We had moments where our physicality went up and our scoring went up. But at times you saw where some bad offense led to leak outs, especially in that first half. They got out on us in transition.
Yeah, uncharacteristic too. You got some guys in foul trouble, and they went to the free throw line 32 times in this game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard driving group, a physical group, physical drivers. Obviously, we didn't do great defensively one-on-one, but I also thought some of our help side defense, some of our shift guys just weren't where they're supposed to be. So, we'll continue to teach and move on, but that's an unfortunate one.
Kelton Johnson and Devin Vassell both came back after missing time with health and safety protocols. How do you think those guys look?
I thought in the second half, I thought they helped us. You could see there's a little bit of rust there in the first half, but I thought as the game wore on, they got to be more themselves and more of what we expect. Obviously, Keldon played great and hit some big ones down the stretch for us. It was unfortunate. We wanted to play him more, but their health and safety comes first. So unfortunately, he had to be out there on the bench those last few minutes.
Papa's talked all year long, Becky, about the leadership of DeJounte Murray, and he almost single-handedly brought you back. He had 19 points in the fourth quarter. He finishes with a career-high 32. It's clear that he's the leader of this ball club. Talk for just a moment about how he inspires the other guys in this team.
Well, I think I don't think he's missed a workout since he's been here.
Wow.
So it starts there. He's always on time. He always comes ready to work. And you mentioned the scoring in the fourth quarter, but the guy had 11 assists and no turnovers with 10 boards. I mean, a triple-double with no turnovers is pretty impressive, especially when you have the ball as much as he does. And so, he's leading by example out there. Obviously, his defense, he's able to make plays for us down the stretch. And that was one of the best end-of-game performances I've ever seen. Unfortunately, we didn't come out with the win because that would have been sweet. I would have been super pumped for him had we been able to pull that one out.
There was a moment after the game, and I'm sure you didn't see it, Becky. I just happened to catch it out of the corner of my eye, where he went over and had a nice long chat with Kevin Porter Jr., who's a young player, obviously, and he's also from Seattle. And Kevin Porter's only 21. And I think back at Jamal Crawford and the kind of mentorship that he provided with DeJounte, who was young from that Seattle area. And now it seems like he's handing it down to the younger players from Seattle.
I think, when you talk about leadership, DeJounte is very disciplined in being a pro. I remember on draft night, I had the point guards that year, and I didn't even look at DeJounte because we didn't think he'd be available
Right.
by the time. And he ends up dropping to us. And the amount of work and maturity and just his growth overall, you could see it on the basketball court clearly, but him as a person has just turned into a man, and it's just been really fun to watch. And his upside, what he's doing, I don't know this guy's upside, honestly. I mean, he just keeps getting better and better. And the thing is he's a worker, he's a studier, and so he's just going to continue to go up. But where it was, we got lucky that he dropped us because he was not supposed to be there because of his background. Like you said, people didn't want to take a chance on him, and he's just so talented. But to see who he is as a person and as a leader and kind of blossom in his personality, come out more, has been just really fun to watch. Being that he showed up here as a teenager too. So.
Yeah, we forget how young he was when he got here. Hey, Becky, thanks very much for the time. We appreciate it, and good luck against Cleveland on Friday night.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That is Becky Hammond, her post-game comments. I got a tough one again for the Spurs tonight, 128-124. The final score, the Rockets shoot 55% from the field in this victory over the San Antonio Spurs. Again, next up for the Spurs, Whataburger, what's next? The Spurs will take on the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they are a good ball club. They've got some good young players on that team. We'll see them Friday night here at the AT&T Center. That'll be a 7:30 start. That'll be game 2 of this 7-game homestand. Then it's a back-to-back Saturday night against the Clippers, 7:30 start on Bally Southwest, and then the homestand will continue Monday against Phoenix. That game also on Bally at 7:30 start. The final score here this evening, the Rockets over the Spurs, 128-124. Spurs Radio continues in a moment.
All right, that was
Capital One.
Bill Schoening. If you're just joining us, that was the voice of the San Antonio Spurs. Bill Schoening talking with Spurs assistant coach Becky Hammond. Wanted to let you guys hear that. Hello, Bill Brendel. Hello, Lucinda Sullivan. I saw Taro Kotani, the greatest international Spurs fan, joining us in here from Tokyo. Bill Brendel picking a...
Hey, Chris.
Yes, sir. What's up?
Bill just asked me to ask you if you could do 2
Yeah, absolutely.
segments here.
Yeah.
Because he got all his spots in.
Okay. Yep. I'll do, I'll go through scores here. And then the second one will be a shorter one, but here I'll just go through the NBA scores.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, man.
For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching grandma how to video call and teaching her again.
It's the button on your
Wow.
Okay, your other lap.
Joe going way back to when the Spurs traded away the Iceman. Some of us are old enough to remember that. I'm with you, Joe. These Spurs are not leaderless. DeJounte Murray was a man tonight, triple-double, 32, 10, and 11. No turnovers, 3 steals for DeJounte Murray. All right. Here we go. From the Spurs Net Center, I'm Chris Duel. Programming note on the flagship station, Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI. Our Spurs React is coming right up in just a little bit, and you can also access that. We stream live video on 1200 WOAI's Facebook and Twitter pages. Once again, the final score tonight, Houston Rockets 128, Spurs 124. 8 other games in the NBA tonight. They are at halftime in Chicago, and the Brooklyn Nets lead the Chicago Bulls 62-60. Halftime in Sacramento, Los Angeles Lakers lead the Kings 67-61. Some final scores from earlier tonight. Celtics beat the Pacers 119-100. It was the Hornets over the Sixers 109-98. Wizards beat the Magic 112-106. Miami Heat won in Atlanta over the Hawks 115-91. Knicks beat the Mavericks at Madison Square Garden 108-85. And in Utah, the Cleveland Cavaliers get a road win over the Jazz, 111-91. Once again, the final score, Houston Rockets, 128. San Antonio Spurs, 124. Spurs Radio continues in a moment. Eric Winchester, rebuilding decade. I don't think so, Eric. I think the Spurs are going to get it together. They still had a ton of guys out with health and safety protocols tonight. Oh, by the way, just pointing that out to you. Who was out of the Spurs lineup tonight? Doug McDermott, Drew Eubanks, Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Derek White. So Spurs still missing a few people tonight. Axel J. Miller from Denver. Welcome, David Valles. Well, and David, if this is rock bottom, that's all right, because there's a lot of bright spots still. See what Travis says here. When will y'all admit the Spurs need a Durant or some other marquee player to be competitive in the NBA? Kevin Durant's like a top 3 or a top 4 player, Travis. There's not a whole lot of Kevin Durant's out there. This in Pop We Trust stuff ends soon when he retires. Then what? The Spurs organization is ripping off fans. Travis, every team, every single team in every single sport. Name any great dynasty. Michael Jordan's Bulls, the New York Yankees in baseball, America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Every team goes through cycles. So to say the Spurs are ripping off fans, I disagree with you there. I think Eric can answer. Spurs fans are spoiled. That's it. Spurs are going with the youth movement. There's a lot of bright spots, but this was a tough loss tonight, and they've lost a few lately. They haven't. Travis. They haven't invested in players. Couldn't disagree more. All right, I'm back on the radio here. From the Spurs Net Center, I'm Chris Duel. Once again, the final score tonight, the Houston Rockets beat the San Antonio Spurs 128-124. Programming note on the flagship station, Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI. Our Spurs React is coming right up in just a few moments, and we do stream live video of Spurs React on 1200 WOAI's Facebook and Twitter pages. That is coming right up after a quick wrap-up from Bill Schoening at the AT&T Center, where the Spurs fall tonight to the Houston Rockets, 128-124. Spurs Radio continues in a moment.
Saturday, January 15th, your San Antonio Spurs take on the Clippers for Box Out Cancer Night, presented by Methodist Cancer Care. Unite in the fight and add a t-shirt to your ticket for just $5.
Travis, it was only this year that the Spurs cleared a lot of that cap room, so they'll be in a position to sign free agents. DeMar DeRozan, Patty Mills, Rudy Gay, you moved all of those guys. The Spurs aren't going to just go throw money. If you look at the free agent market this year, there weren't a lot of free agents out there. They're not just going to throw a lot of good money after bad after free agents that they don't feel can help them. Joe, I know you want more from this franchise, but go look at the Chicago Bulls after Michael Jordan. Go look at the Lakers after Kobe. Go look at go look at the Cowboys after Aikman, Emmett, and Michael Irvin and Deion Sanders. This is a natural moment in a sports franchise progression, and the Spurs have gone with a youth movement, and DeJounte Murray had a career-high 32 points tonight and a triple-double. Rockets after the dream. Thank you, Eric. Here we go.
The senior director of broadcasting is Mike Kikarillo. Liz Canonis handles commercial traffic along with Leah Resendez. Our broadcast engineer, Sam Walters.
I'm going to go about 5.
Walter Stoops. Next game for the Spurs, Friday night against the Cleveland Cavaliers, 7:30 start. We'll be on the air.
Be ready. It'll be clear when I'm wrapping.
Radio game night. As always, for all things Spurs, follow us on Twitter, Spurs.com, or the Spurs app. And now for our studio producer, Jeremy Kolak.
Travis,
and for our studio host,
I am
Chris
on
Gould.
the WOAI payroll, not the Spurs
The
payroll.
final score from the AT&T Center. The Houston Rockets with a win over
But I've been a Spurs fan ever since they came to town in 1973. So get off my lawn.
And the National Basketball Association. All rights reserved. Good night, everybody.
Spurs Radio Game Night Rewind has been brought to you by
AT&T, the game we live for, the codes we live by, and by iHeartMedia. The season is here, and so is your chance.
All right,
to
David,
experience
go
all the
Niners.
thrilling Spurs
Come on,
basketball
David.
live and in the
Go
stands.
Cowboys.
As the official marketplace of the NBA, Ticketmaster has got you covered with the largest selection of seats of any ticketing marketplace. Don't miss any of the action. Grab your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com/Spurs.
David Valles, this is for you.
Bet 365 have come a long way since we pioneered in play.
There you go, David Valles.
150,000 live sporting events every year. And if you can't watch live, we'll alert you to anything that happens. Our latest feature lets you search thousands of markets at the touch of a button. Join our 63 million members
Sean
worldwide.
says
Download
the Spurs need Spurs Jesus. They've got Spurs Jesus. Spurs Jesus is with them. Come on.
Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yeah, Joe, I know it's frustrating. I totally get you on the frustration, man. Here we come.
This is Game Night React on the home of the Spurs, Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI.
From the Spurs Net Center, I'm Chris Duel. Tough loss tonight for the San Antonio Spurs as they fall to the Houston Rockets 128-124. With this loss, the Spurs record falls to 15-26 overall. They are 7-11 at home now. This is Spurs React on Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI. I'm Chris Duel. We are streaming live video as we always do on 1200 WOAI's Facebook page and Twitter page. And most Spurs fans tonight reacting on social media and reacting with us on 1200 WOAI's Facebook and Twitter pages. Most Spurs fans are restless and angry at this Spurs loss. Spurs fans thought that they should have won this game tonight against a Houston Rockets team that came in at 11-31. It was a tough loss for the Spurs. Spurs led at the end of one quarter, 39-36. They led it. Check that. Houston led at the end of the first quarter, 39-36. Let me correct that. Spurs led at halftime, 67-63. That is accurate. They did lead at halftime. It was nip and tuck at the end of three quarters. Rockets were up by 91-90, but the Rockets would open up a big lead in that fourth quarter. They ballooned the lead to 116-104 with 3:40 to play, but the Spurs did not quit, and certainly DeJounte Murray did not quit in that fourth quarter. DeJounte Murray scored 19 points in the fourth quarter on his way to a career high of 32 points. DeJounte Murray had a triple-double, his numbers tonight for the Spurs, 32 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists. He also had 3 steals, and as Spurs assistant coach Becky Hammond pointed out, talking with Bill Schoening moments ago in postgame, DeJounte Murray had that amazing triple-double with no turnovers. So it was an amazing effort by DeJounte Murray, but the Spurs came up short, and it's a tough loss. You could certainly hear it in Coach Becky Hammond's voice. You could certainly understand this was a game. I was hoping coming into this one after the Spurs had the tough road trip. They've had so many players out with health and safety protocols. I was hoping it would be a get-well game for the San Antonio Spurs, but that was not the case, at least as far as the final score indicated tonight. You look for bright spots here, and certainly the big bright spot, DeJounte Murray, but you hoped the Spurs could have won a game like this in their house at the AT&T Center against a team that is also struggling in the Houston Rockets. As Bill Schoening mentioned in the pregame, a lot of Rockets players are very, very young. The Rockets are the youngest team in the NBA when you average out all the players' ages. The Spurs have a very young team, but the Rockets overall are a younger team in the NBA. So it was a tough loss for the San Antonio Spurs, but this happens sometimes, and you need to find a way to regroup. And the Spurs, coming off that road trip, will have a number of games at home. The next game for the San Antonio Spurs will be Friday night. Cleveland Cavaliers coming into town. Cavs have been playing some very good basketball. In fact, Cavaliers in action tonight. They got a road win tonight at Utah. So the Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Utah Jazz tonight, 111-91. Cavs, 24-18 overall. They are 13-9 on the road. So the Spurs will have their work cut out for them on Friday night against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Looking at some other numbers for the Spurs tonight. Nice night off the bench for Bryn Forbes. Bryn Forbes with 21 points off the bench. He was 6 of 11 from three-point country was Bryn Forbes. Your other Spurs in double figures tonight. I mentioned the 32 and the triple-double from DeJounte Murray. Jakob Poeltl with 13 points. He also had 6 rebounds. 11 points for Lonnie Walker. And also off the bench, Keldon Johnson, 18 points in 24 minutes. Keldon looked good tonight. 7 of 13 from the field. Keldon Johnson, 2 of 4 from three-point country. He also had 5 rebounds and an assist. You add it all up, and it's a tough loss tonight for the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs are not happy. I'm sure the Spurs coaching staff, we heard from assistant coach Becky Hammond, she is not happy. But you got to love the fight in the Spurs team. Late in that game, it was double digits. It was out of hand, but the Spurs never stopped fighting until the very end, and they made it very, very interesting at the end. Again, 19 points in the fourth quarter for DeJounte Murray, his career best tonight, 32 points, along with his triple-double, 32, 10, and 11, 3 steals, no turnovers for DeJounte Murray. Back to the drawing board, and the Spurs will try again on Friday night against the Cleveland Cavaliers. It'll be a back-to-back, by the way. Cleveland on Friday night, the LA Clippers on Saturday night here at the AT&T Center. For the great Bill Schoening, an excellent call as always. Our thanks as well to on-site engineer Sam Walters, veteran statistician Walter Stoops, and going solo tonight, in for Michael Bartlett and doing a flawless job, Jeremy Kolak, the pride of Oklahoma State University. Great job by Jeremy Kolak tonight. Next time he does this, the Spurs will win. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Go Spurs, go. Let's try again on Friday night. For Jeremy, for Bill, for Sam, for Walter Stoops, for all those gentlemen, and for Michael Bartlett taking the night off. Michael, a little under the weather. Hope you feel better, Michael. For all of those dudes, I'm Chris Duel. The final score again tonight, the Houston Rockets 128, the San Antonio Spurs 124. This has been Spurs React on Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI.